welcome from the deep. I am Mike the Finder.
And I am Book of Brett.
And today we're going to be talking about the 2022 film X. Finally going to get around to X. This is something that we've been wanting to do.
That's a T at this point.
This is something we've been wanting to do for a while, me specifically. I think that with Maxine coming out later this year, it is important that we get all caught up on the first two movies. So that is
important. It's very, very important.
Don't like you. This is what we're going to be doing today. So before we get into that, I would like to just do a couple things of housekeeping here, and then we'll move into the review. We have not been around the last few weeks. Brett has been super busy with work, making movies, and doing real estate stuff, and all that good stuff.
Hell at High Noon. Go watch it when it comes out. It's a short film, so if you hate it, you won't have to do so for long.
And I just built a brand new computer, and it has taken me all week to get to a point that I feel comfortable making podcasts again. It has been a complete and total nightmare to deal with multiple companies and multiple subscriptions and multiple licenses. And please, for the love of God, stop me. Jesus.
Mike doesn't beep boop.
I don't beep boop very well. And the other thing I want to point out here is if you're only watching this on YouTube, make sure you go check us out on your favorite podcast app, because we put every single podcast that we do here on YouTube over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and whatever else you use to listen to your favorite podcasts, because I know that not everybody loves to look at our horrible faces whenever we do these podcasts, and I cannot blame you for that.
Speaks for yourself, bitch. I'm beautiful.
Don't like you. And if you're only listening to this on your favorite podcast app, make sure you go check us out on YouTube, because there is a lot of content on YouTube that does not make it to the podcast feed. So without further ado, let's get into X. What did you know about this movie going into it?
I knew it was about a porno.
People making pornography.
That's about it. I knew that a porno was somehow involved, and people were gonna die, and I only knew that because Mia Goth was in it.
Right, and she tends to be in movies where people die a lot. That's a good point. Yeah. So, okay, do you want to go ahead and give us a synopsis of what X is, and then we'll jump over into IMDb, take a look at all of that stuff, then we'll talk about our initial impressions, and then we will get into spoilers and ratings and stuff like that. So why don't you go ahead and give me your synopsis?
So, X is about a group of adult entitled children going to make a porno in the woods in Texas, like you do.
1979.
And from what I gathered, it's one of the first pornos ever. And they go and do this, on a farm in Texas with old people in the middle of nowhere, and chaos.
Okay, they're not shooting a porno with old people. The old people own the farm, and they're renting a room from the old people to make said porno.
I liked mine better.
It just sounded like why would anyone want to watch that porno other than, I guess old people.
Well, the old lady really wanted to be in the porno in the creepiest way possible.
So if we,
she's like, this is like the kid that breathes behind Helga, like 50 years in the future.
Like the way when she punches him in the face and stuff from Hey Arnold.
The scenes where she was standing by herself, like in the distance, I just expected it to be this overdub of.
All right, well, if we jump over to the podcast drive-in here, we can see that X from 2022 is rated R, and it is an hour and 45 minutes. It is a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, and it is written, directed, and produced, I think, by Ty West. It stars Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, and Brittany Snow. And X's synopsis from IMDb. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast find themselves fighting for their lives. So, that's actually one of the better IMDb synopsises I think that we've seen.
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and tell me your initial impressions? No spoilers for now. We will be skipping spoilers for right now, but of X.
Well, my impression was mostly about the ending and that really specific part where we. Oh, you're not gonna stop me? You're just gonna let me do spoilers? Okay, fine, fine, because we're not having
Well,
fun.
no, I was
Um,
I was making sure everything was running in the background here properly.
you weren't even paying attention.
No.
My eyes are over here, Mike. My eyes are over here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Hold that. No, so overall, I really enjoyed X. It was better than I was expecting it to
You
be.
went into this with a really shitty attitude. Let's be honest.
I've had a really bad day. And
But more than anything, you don't like Mia Goth from what you've told me.
I did. There's something about her, and it's not the no brows. There's something. I don't know, man.
It's like, and I say this about only.
It's not her. It's not. Sorry, go ahead.
I say this about only a few people. She has Cabbage Patch doll face. Where it's like, in other words, Redditors or people that spend a lot of time on the internet would also know it as you look easy to draw. She's got that sort of a look.
Well, okay, so to as quickly as possible separate me from the cancel culture onslaught that you just invited, it doesn't have anything to do with her appearance. The no brows comment was a joke. But I think and it's not even her acting. I think it's the character she plays. I just don't like her character in this could not be more of an entitled bitch. Like, more than once, she's like, I will not live the life that I do not deserve. Yeah, that's how every 20-something feels, and then the 30s hit you like a fucking ton of bricks. Like, it's this, her character has this sense of entitlement that she deserves to be famous, and
So,
she deserves...
I'm going to stop you and say something to the audience real quick. We are only talking about X here. We will not be talking about Pearl at all, even a little bit. This is a solo review of just X. So anything that relates to Pearl or any of that other stuff, we're not going to be talking about. So continue with that same thought. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I meant to say that earlier.
No, you're good. That makes me feel like her character probably develops further in Pearl. But yeah, dude, I really did not like her character. Now, she's good in this. Don't get me wrong. She's good.
That's
she's
the thing. She's a good actress, and she picks amazing scripts. She works with really good people too.
But on the flip side of that, the fact that I hated her character so much says something about her acting.
Yeah.
So there is that. But I have noticed that I do not like the characters she plays. I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but that's just the way that it is. Overall, I mean, obviously the internet has said over and over again, there are definitely Texas Chainsaw vibes here. I don't think this holds a candle to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Not much does.
No, not even slightly. And there's definitely some of those vibes in this. But I also think this movie said a lot more about a few things that I was not expecting. I expected this to be pretty surface level entertainment, and it's actually got some good commentary on things like you losing your youth and how people deal with losing their youth. It's got a lot to say about sexual freedom and morality here. So it does have a lot to say, and that was really a redeeming quality for me. However, I was on board from the very first shot, because that opening shot is so good, ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's framed like we're gonna be watching this in a 4:3 ratio.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd catch on to that.
Oh,
dude!
As soon as the camera started moving, I went, oh, okay. Like, cause at the beginning I was like, oh, good, another movie that's gonna do the celluloid thing. And then it started moving in. I went, oh, okay. And then as as it opens, you see, because you just see the police car driving up, but as it opens up, we see the other two with their sirens on, and I went, yes, I am on board for this. So I was pretty much on board from the get-go.
Yeah, I think that the cinematography is one of the best things about this movie. It's through the entire thing, it's incredible. Like the composition is great. The color is phenomenal. It feels, I don't know if it was shot on film. I didn't look into it, but it feels like it was shot on film.
I can't say this since I didn't, I wasn't involved in the filming process and I didn't look that up. But it does have Ari Alexa written all over it. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying.
No, it's not shot on film. They did a very good job at adding grain, because most of the time when something is trying to look like it was shot on film, the grain looks really fake and digital. And in this, it looks really organic and analog. But
that right there, that's why Da Vinci's so popular, because you've got to. I don't know for a fact that this was like colored in Da Vinci, but I'd put money on it simply because so many movies are. But grain is a thing that you have a ton of control over and resolve.
Well, I'd believe that if every movie didn't look digital and fake.
That's fair.
Either way,
you're not wrong.
The cinematography is fucking incredible in this, and I think it uses its camera work in such a good way. Ty West is... I'm not super overly familiar with most of Ty West's movies. I'm just not. I know the name, and I've seen a few of his things, but generally speaking, I'm not super familiar with Ty West. And so the first time this is my second time watching this. You've not seen this before. It's your first. Mm-hmm. And so the first time I sat down to watch this, I was literally just completely blown away by how good it looks. And then you start adding not only the ambiance in there, the atmosphere, the actors are all killer. I cannot believe I'm going to say this, but Kid Cudi is great in this. Like, he's legit great in this movie. I think that every single actor in this film kills it, and it's just overall really strong. And I went into this thinking, okay, I've heard good things about this, but there's no way this is as good as everybody says it is. But in my opinion, it is. This is one of the few things of last year that can give Barbarian a run for its money as far as best horror movie goes of 2022. I think that this is damn near as good, if not better, than Barbarian.
I would agree with that.
I mean, they're completely different films, but they both have that old school horror logic to them, and the way that they attack them is it's both lighthearted, but it's also sort of, it just, I don't know, it just harkens back to the golden age of horror and the 80s and stuff. So
yeah, it does. You're right. It does have a very like old school slasher vibe. And I don't want to say a lot of that's because of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe that we also get with it, but it is a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely borrow a lot from it.
Oh, a ton.
Yeah.
A ton. Yeah.
A lot of people have already reviewed this movie and seen this movie, but like I said, we're watching this so we can get Brett caught up with Maxine by the time Maxine comes out. So that is the entire idea of doing this now.
I'm going to watch the first two just to tell you I don't want to do the third one.
It won't matter. I'll do it solo then. Maxine is one of the movies I'm really looking forward to this year.
Speaking of Maxine, and now I know why that movie is called Maxine.
Right.
I was expecting like Infinity Pool. I was expecting something very pretentious and up its own ass.
Yes.
And this doesn't feel pretentious in the slightest.
It kind of feels like we're moving away from the pretentious horror thing lately.
I really, really fucking hope so. I really, really hope so. But only time will tell with that. But that's what I'm saying is like, this is a great movie for somebody that wants a good slasher that is still artistic in its delivery. Now I gotta say, this is something I didn't really touch on. The beginning to me, like the first act or so felt really slow. Like it felt like we were getting too much of a buildup. We get a lot of we get a lot of scenes of them hanging out, getting to where they're going, spending time together, and that's all good and well. But by the time we get to that point, there is an established paradigm with these characters, but it tends to go a little bit beyond that until we get to the action. Speaking of like build up, development, and all that, I feel like this is one of the few movies that I've seen in a while where the characters all feel really well developed. Now I can tell with the main cop that we've got that he's gonna come in probably later at some point. I would imagine he pops up in Pearl at some point because he feels like this character that we should be familiar with, but we don't get very familiar with in this. So
let me just give you a little bit of knowledge here because I don't know if you know what Pearl is. Pearl,
they come out of clams. You make them into like necklaces.
Pearl is a prequel to this.
Okay. Either way, I have a feeling that I'm going to see him in Pearl. But like I said, other than him, I feel like everybody's pretty well developed. We get the emotional state of even the villains, and we don't actually normally. I feel like we don't get that a lot. And the villains in this actually play a big part in why this movie turns out the way that it does, in the sense of actually saying something more than we had a big budget for special effects. Because the mom, or the old lady in particular, she's got a lot of baggage. I mean, she's a serial killer, so baggage. But this lady has a ton of emotional baggage, and there are points where you start like almost feeling bad for her, but not, because like even the scenes where you feel bad for her, they're super duper super creepy. Like when she does get into bed with Mia Goth, you're sitting there and that whole thing is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable. But even through that, you can see it's because this woman is desperate for physical contact, desperate for it, so much so that she risks her husband's life towards the end just to get fucked.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
true.
But again, all these characters are super well developed, except Jenna Ortega's character. But even then, I mean, like it's still, there's still a good amount of character development there.
Yeah, that's part of her character is not being overly developed because of being so shy and stuff. So
right. I did. I gotta say, there was a point where I thought, I don't remember what the cameraman's name is. I thought he was going to be the slasher or the killer. I thought that dude was going to break.
That scene in the shower does give you the vibe of like, oh, he's about to go off on everybody.
And I'm sitting here after what she did to him. I'm sitting here going like, I've never rooted for a killer more.
That would be amazing. Like that would be amazing. That would be some amazing reasons to just off them all. Like, yeah. Just completely, that actually would be a really fun movie to see.
That and so it's like, I mean, maybe that's the horror movie I finally write, where it's X but adjacent. So I saw that, and then when she killed him, I was just like, oh, this poor guy.
But that's the thing, is like that death. And I guess we're going into spoilers here at this point. That death of him.
Just put a thing on the screen.
Yeah. That death of him is the turning point of everything. That's where stuff really starts to go crazy. And it's, dude, it, for lack of a better term, it's shot so beautifully. Mm-hmm. That kill. And the way that the blood spurts up onto the headlights and turns the entire thing red, and the way it's just filmed, the way she starts dancing in the fucking blood light and shit, it's just so perfect. And you really feel that she's like coming back alive, and that she's getting some sort of sense of her youth back from killing this kid. You're not sure why, but this is the thing, man. It's the thing you said about the old lady. That's Mia Goth. You know that, right? That's Mia Goth playing that old lady. That's her in old lady makeup.
Well, it turns out I don't hate all of her characters then.
And I think just to give you some little thing of Pearl, I know we said we weren't going to talk about that at all, but the way you're talking about her emotional baggage and stuff like that, and what I told you, Pearl is a prequel. Pearl is about the old lady in her youth. And the reason that the old lady is so wrapped up in Maxine is because she reminds her of herself when she was younger, which is why she's so,
no, that I got.
For lack of a better term, sexually attracted to her and gets really super jealous of her and all that stuff. But yeah, I love that you're picking up on this stuff and you haven't seen Pearl and really don't even know what it's about. Like that's really fucking cool.
I feel like if you're watching this from for lack of a better phrase, from the perspective of the language of film, I feel like you can't help but pick up on it.
There's a ton of stuff buried in it for sure. Yeah,
because they do a really good job of putting it into the story, interjecting it to where you notice it, but not to a point of it being totally just full of exposition.
Yeah, it's really not in your face a whole lot as far as they do so much with the camera work and being super subtle about all this stuff that it just, dude, it works so fucking well.
This is a really, really good example of how you don't have to move the camera all the time.
Oh my God, amen to that.
You don't have to move. Everything doesn't need to be a steady cam move. Well, and sometimes it's okay to let the scene speak for itself.
Yeah, there's a ton of wide shots, a ton of just static wide shots that I fucking love. They do a ton of zoom shots, like when she's walking up onto the dock before she jumps into the lake or river or whatever it is. That shot where they zoom up or they zoom out from her is so like 1976. I fucking love it. You can really tell that the cinematographer and Ty West are both actually fans of old school horror movies because there are so many things like that. And I think what you're saying with the camera movements and stuff, all of that is there because we're in 1979. I think if this was set now, he would probably be doing all that shit. But because it's not, you can really tell, like you said, through the language of film, that this is really trying to give you the sense of being in 1979, and it's perfect. It's fucking perfect. Well, I gotta say, I was a little worried going into this because I knew your sort of attitude for not only Mia Goth, but for lack of a better word, elevated horror.
Mia Goth's characters, we have to stop saying I don't like Mia Goth.
Okay, fair enough.
Because that makes it sound like I have this personal issue with Mia Goth.
Right.
I have a personal issue with Jennifer Lopez. I don't have a personal issue with me. Jennifer Lopez is a terrible
horrible human being. Yeah.
You don't treat people like that.
She's basically Ellen. Yeah.
Oh God, I hate that woman too. Oh God. But like, I have a personal issue with Tom Cruise. I have a personal issue with Jared Leto. I don't have a personal issue with Mia Goth. But again, the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, well, shit, maybe I really like her because she's making me feel this way with her characters.
Right. And she does that in a lot. I know you haven't seen the Suspiria remake, but it's sort of the same thing in that as well. She's just, and like I said, I find her appearance off-putting, for lack of a better word. But like I said earlier, she knows how to pick a script. Every time I see her in something, I get interested in it because I know she knows how to pick scripts, and she is constantly working with the right people. She's always in movies that I'm like, God damn, that was a fucking killer movie. And so every time she's in something, I know she's done the fucking legwork to be able to actually work with them and pick good scripts. So, yeah. All right, well, why don't you go ahead and tell me if you think that this is worth watching, and then we'll move into some spoilers and stuff.
This is definitely worth watching. 100%.
Wow.
It's totally worth watching. I went into it a little, reluctantly.
Yeah.
A24 is more and more becoming one of those. A24 for me is becoming what Blumhouse is for you.
Well,
where it's like it could be not.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I think that Blumhouse has way more misses than hits, personally. And I think A24 is kind of that way. But when A24 hits, they hit fucking good. Like, they hit hard.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. And so, definitely worth going and checking out, for sure. This is not one that I watched that made me miss or sad that I didn't get to see it in a theater, which is a good thing. And
I would have loved to have seen this in a theater. Would have loved to.
I just don't feel like I missed anything by not seeing it in a theater.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one that I'll be buying for sure.
Yeah. I bought it for $4.50 from a library on Amazon. So you may be able to pick it up kind of cheap.
Does it have a slipcase?
No. Pearl, on the other hand, I could not find for under $25. So, yeah, here, I'll show it to you. Yeah, it's even got like the markings and stuff still on it.
You wasted your money.
It says 7-day loan on it right there. No, I mean, $4.50 for this. That's a damn good deal for.
But it's not in a slipcase.
Well, no, it's not. All right. Well, for me, I think this is absolutely worth watching. I think that this is probably one of my more favorite horror movies of last year, and I would venture to say of the last 10. This really gives Barbarian a run for its money, and the more I think about it, the more I'm slowly realizing 2022 and even 2023 have been killer for horror movies. Like really good horror has come out the last few years, and it feels like we're starting to get back with Barbarian, with X, a whole bunch of others. It really does feel like we're starting to get away from the elevated horror thing and super pretentious, up its own ass type stuff.
Hang on, let's see what comes out after Evil Dead Rise. Let's give it a second.
Well, and as much as we shit all over Evil Dead Rise for not having any substance, really, I think that X rides the line of not having substance, but also no. X rides the lines of not having substance while also at the same time being able to say a lot, like you were saying earlier, is the perfect way to do horror, because it pays homage to all of the shit that has come before it while simultaneously standing on the shoulders of those things and doing its own thing. A lot of movies are just like, we're going to be cheesy slasher movie and we want to be Friday the 13th 8. Like we're going for that vibe. And this movie is like, I will take things from Texas Chainsaw, I will take things from other slashers, and at the same time I will meld that with the elevated horror thing, but not being pretentious about it. And in that way, I think it succeeds perfectly. So yeah, I think this is totally worth seeing if you haven't seen it yet, especially if you're looking to Maxine to come out later this year. You got to get on this fucking thing. So I want to hear about specifics. Let's go spoilers and shit in here.
Kid Cudi's got a big dick.
Well, I would imagine it's probably similar to Marky Mark's penis.
Fucking Long Dong Silver over here, just holding the ship down with an anchor of a dick.
If we were to pull a light out and shine it, we'd see a big seam going right down the middle of it.
You don't know that. Don't take this away from him. You've never seen it. He's
good in this, right? Considering I've never seen him in anything, he's fucking really good in this.
Yeah, I do love the part where he's like, dude, stay in your lane, cameraman.
Let me do the fucking.
The screwing.
The screwing.
For some reason, because there's no shortage of the word fuck in this movie.
That's true.
I have to say, I get the point that some of the characters are making when Jenna Ortega's character is like, I want to be in the movie. However, what a fucking bitch.
And then the way
to pull that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. To pull that in front of the entire group, to come on acting reluctant, like you're not sure, and then in a matter of, I would say, 36 hours, deciding, going from I'm not okay with it to I'm uncomfortable to oh, look at him fucker to oh, it's not so bad to I want to be in the movie in front of her boyfriend. No.
That's the biggest issue I have with this movie. That scene in general is
bitch.
And then the way that she acts when she can't find him, like, I don't want him to break up with me. Like, bitch, you should have thought of that before you decided to do a
him. You just cuckolded him.
The worst part is that he had to film it, and you can like see his heart breaking and shit when it's happening.
You cuckolded him, and then you Agent Oranged him. Like,
that
what the fuck,
dude?
She
has so little character development from that point that when that happens, it's so far out of left field that it just feels like that's the one thing in this movie that I actually am not crazy about, because
Jenna Ortega is just Kristen Stewart to me. Like, Jenna Ortega and Kristen Stewart sit on the same even pedestal to me.
I don't like her either. She's in goddamn everything too. She's just in every horror movie at this point, and I don't whatever. I don't like her, but her character in this is the fucking worst. And the way that she is just bamboozled that he would be like, I'm out. I'm leaving.
What do you mean you don't want me to fuck someone else and make you watch it while you film it and make sure it's exposed properly and pay attention to the details?
On the flip side of that, right? If I were in his position, I would say to them, if that's something you want to do, fine. You guys can figure out how to run the camera, because I'm not going to be in this room.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sitting here going like, none of them knows how to run that camera. Just tell the producer, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's all it would take. And then all that would go away. He would just be like, nope, I'm the only one that knows how to run the camera. I'm not doing that. You can't make me. No.
Because then it's just her cheating on him, and then he can absolutely just be like, bye, bitch.
Deuces. Yeah. I think that scene rubs me the wrong way. And now that I've seen it twice, there's a lot of little things leading up into that where they zoom up on her and they hang on her for just a little too long, and you can see it. I definitely saw it more the second time around. You can see it like bubbling up in her brain and stuff. That's something she wants to do. When you don't know that that's coming, you don't pay attention to it as much. But when you know that that's coming, all of the little things where they hang onto her a little too long, you can see it coming a little bit. Which is actually really cool as far as the filmmaking side of things go.
Yeah,
but on the human level, I wanted her to die so much quicker than she did.
Yeah.
So much worse than she did.
I felt the same about her as I did when Lana has a baby with Archer without telling him.
That's such.
I know how specific that is.
That's really specific and really deep into that season or into that show too.
Because I've not been able to watch Archer without just hating Lana ever since then. Yeah. And the rest of this movie, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for you to die.
Yeah.
I was like, because I had a feeling she was going to die. I had a feeling that either she was going to die or her and Mia Goth were the only two that were going to make it. And I'm so glad that not only does she die, but she gets quasi-tortured first. I hated her so
I totally agree.
Much.
And she's the most likable person up to that scene. Yeah. She's the only one with like a moral compass, and like she's our moral north. Like and she's the only one that seems to be like level-headed about the whole thing. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Yep. She's the one that points out they don't know what we're doing. So she's the only one that's like that notices what's going on around them. And then that scene happens and it just flips hard, like, oh, I hate you. Yeah, you're a horrible person.
Do you know where the whole, because you know that at the end she's like, "This is all your fault. You brought me here."
Yeah.
You know when that would have worked really well after she fucked someone in front of her boyfriend.
Or at least have enough realization when he disappears
Yeah.
to know that she's a horrible person. Like her character development stops after that scene. Like she has sex with Kid Cudi, and then she from there on she's just this empty shell of a person walking around with no emotion and not noticing anything anymore and no more moral compass. Her character completely flips and becomes completely unbearable.
Yeah, when he started living with the van, I started going, good, fuck them.
Yeah, good for you.
Like, leave all of them out there. Leave them all out there in the woods.
Yeah.
And then crazy old sex addict lady came out of nowhere. I gotta say, this whole maneuver that she's doing, you can like clearly see her hand behind her back.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm just paranoid, but that seems like a red flag.
Well, yeah, but also, you don't know you're in a horror movie. B, it's a little old lady.
True.
I don't think you're expecting some little old lady. Yeah, my first thought, if I was pulling out of that area and she showed up in front of the van, my first thought would be, she's got Alzheimer's, she's like sleepwalking, she's mentally ill, I need to help her. And he has that same reaction. So I actually think that's a genuine human reaction to that moment. And I love that it happens in the middle of him freaking out about this whole thing. Like, it's such a cool
I just didn't want him
moment.
to die.
Yeah, dude.
I just didn't want him to die.
He's the one person in this movie where I'm like, he really got shafted. Like, he just really... She
got shafted. He got screwed. She got screwed, but he got fucked over. No, she got fucked over, but he...
Yeah. He really got the short end of the stick. She got the long end of the stick.
Yeah. There it is. There it is. That was a much better one.
All right. So any other specifics you want to go into?
No. Oh, yes. Kid Cudi's got a big dick.
Yep.
It's just. All right, fine. No fun. No one's having fun here.
You're right. No one is having fun here. All right. Well, I guess that's it for X.
Not gonna rate it.
You got anything else to say before we get into ratings?
No, we covered quite a bit of this.
Yeah, really quickly too. There's not a lot to say other than this is a killer slasher movie. We don't get straight slasher movies that often, and especially a slasher movie with substance that doesn't feel like it's trying to be too elevated and too I'm too smart for the room type shit. This like it's the perfect middle ground of elevated and classic horror. This is where fucking horror should be, in my opinion. This is the perfect middle ground. So
take note, Craven.
Why don't you go ahead and give me your rating and final thoughts on X?
I meant Clive Barker. Craven's dead.
Yeah.
Final thoughts and rating. It's X is better than I thought it was going to be. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. This dick nuts over here suggested Dead Alive once, so as I said before, I go into everything cautiously with him for now.
Well, to be fair, whenever you were talking about like, oh, this fucking movie, Mia Goth, Ty West, it's fucking like.
I didn't say anything about Ty West. I don't know shit about Ty West.
Okay, fair enough. While I was watching this, I was sitting there thinking, there's no way he won't like this, right? I would be shocked. I literally would have been shocked if you didn't like this movie, because it's got everything that you like in it. It's not overly gory, but it's gory enough. There's not a stupid amount of story in here. It's perfect. Like, it's perfect. So I really would have been shocked.
Well, I don't know about perfect, but it is pretty goddamn good. I gotta say that. So I am going to give X An 8 out of 10.
Wow, that's so much higher than I was expecting you to put it. Wow.
Yeah, I liked it. Again, my only issues with it were the pacing, and that's only in the first act.
Yeah, it's really slow at the beginning. Yeah.
It's really, really slow. I get it. They're gonna go fuck in the woods and you're gonna make a movie about it.
Yeah, there is a ton of setup for that whole thing that we don't necessarily need. Yeah.
But on the flip side, had we not had that, would I have connected with these characters as much? I mean, there's really no way of telling.
Probably not.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it's got its issues here and there. But overall, it's a fucking great movie.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think that this is one of the strongest, like, straight horror movies, non-elevated, straight slasher movies that we've had in a very long time. This is, like I said earlier, everything that modern horror should be. This pays homage to old school horror while also looking forward and doing its own thing. The script is smart and has some shit to say, but it's not in your face about it. It's there enough in the background for those who want to look, and for those that just want a surface level slasher movie, it works on that level too. I think that Ty West is, in my opinion, this is some of the best horror work in the last 10 years, easily. And I put this right up next to Barbarian from last year. It's just as strong, if not stronger, than Barbarian is. And that means a lot coming from me, because I hate most modern horror. Most of it is like, if you want to see our Lights Out review, I will post that down below in the description and up top right here right now. I think that that's more what I expect out of most modern horror, where it's like trying to be smart and it's trying to be too smart for the room and trying to be a little too like edgy and all that kind of shit. This has moments of that, but it's not overt and it's not super in your face about it. And because of that, I would love to see more horror movies like this. I am going to go ahead and rate this a 9 out of 10. You're right, it's not perfect, but it is as close to perfect as you can get without making a movie from 1978. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, go watch X. It's a great movie. Go into it with a bit of an open mind. Because I mean, you know, I feel like you can expect a lot from the different elements that are involved here. With Mia Goth having just done Infinity Pool, it's easy to expect an overly artsy movie.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like you've got other people that are just gonna hear slasher and they're gonna expect, you know, they're gonna expect something a little more surface level. So I feel like regardless of how you're going into it with an open mind, and I don't think you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, there's something in here for everybody if you like horror, whether that be old school horror or elevated horror or shitty slashers from 2003. There's something in here for everyone. So something I did want to touch on. We're going to do Pearl next. It may not be the absolute next podcast that we do, but we are going to be doing Pearl next. And I cannot wait for you to see Pearl. And then I would love for you to go back on your own time and rewatch X after we watch Pearl, because that is something that I think is going to be super important to understanding Maxine. So,
well, I think I almost have to. I mean, it's a prequel, so I almost have to.
What's crazy is that Ty West made both these in one fucking year, and on really not a high budget. I don't remember what the budget was. Let me look that up.
Well, I would imagine he just like shot them all in succession, or he shot both of them just like at the same time, right?
Okay, I did not know this. Know this. X had a budget of $1 million.
Oh, fuck off. Are you kidding me?
I didn't know it was that low. I knew it was low, but I didn't know it was that low. Holy shit. It grossed 11.8 in the US and Canada, 3.3 in other territories, for a worldwide of 15.1 million, making it a box office success off of its mere $1 million budget.
I want to know what their lighting package was.
And then you can see right here, Pearl's also 1 million for a little bit of, holy shit, for just a little bit of reference here. The new Scream, this might actually be Scream 5, $24 million. So that's insane to me. I did not know he made this with $1 million.
That's crazy.
He made 2 movies with $2 million. That's fucking nuts. And to pull it off in such a, oh my God, I'm even more impressed now than I was before that. I knew how much they made that for. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Wow. So, okay, well, if you guys like this, I know this was kind of scatterbrained and all over the place. We just took a 2-week break. This is us getting our feet wet again. I didn't want to do something brand new and all that kind of stuff. Don't do that. That was horrendous. I hated that I happened to look over right when you did that and you stupid foot. I hate it. So this is just us getting our feet wet again and trying to get used to doing the whole podcast thing. We've been away for a few weeks. Like I said, we've been super busy. No worries. We are back now, and we got some plans to do some really cool stuff here in the future. So if you like this, make sure you hit the like button. If you really liked it, make sure you hit the subscribe button because we got a lot more content like this on this channel. A lot of it is even better than this, I promise. This was, like I said, kind of scatterbrained, but nevertheless, thank you guys so much for watching this, and we really appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time from the deep. Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.